obnoxious. And then this is now on our banner now. We should probably make a public announcement for this soon, but I feel like we had always been waiting for data quality, and maybe, I don't know, at some point we just need to choose a time to actually just announce it. So maybe, Ruben, at some point when you feel like you've done like this, I feel like after this pass of data quality, like we should totally announce this.
I can fix at least fixing the mode and metal things, that'd make it so there's not missing like massive chunks of data. So, yeah.
Right on. I also changed in Plasmic, there's now an Algolia search list, right? And I use that here. So I fixed this bug. This wasn't working a couple days ago for whatever reason. But we also have a project page now. I also fixed the infinite scroll, so check this out.
Yeah,
baby.
and scrolling back up like is not a problem anymore either.
No. It instant renders. So this is a real scroll, and then I can click on one, like Celestia, and this I already showed you guys yesterday, but it's just more condensed. And I think we want to add a chart provider down here when we're ready to cube it up. And of course you can search in here as well. But it's a lot slicker than it was before.
It's much nicer. Yeah. Onwards and upwards.
Upwards and upwards. These stupid little UX things end up taking longer than we want. Totally worth it on the other end. All right. That was me. That was pretty short.
Cool. I also short for me. So this sprint we've been dealing with kind of an interesting bug with well, not bug per se, but some limitations in BigQuery and in DBT that we've been trying to work around. So there are a couple of ways that we were thinking of doing it, but it ended up kind of just being a little bit difficult. Hold on, let me start sharing my screen here. Let's see, is it this screen that I would like to share? Why do I have so many tabs open? Here we go. All right, it is this one. Okay. Cool. So one of the things that we've been working on is getting metrics actually into our code, or into the site in a way that people can easily explore. So previously we'd been doing all of this through DBT, but there's some serious limitations there. And so we looked into SQL Mesh on top of ClickHouse, but then there were some issues with ClickHouse and SQL Mesh because that's just not ready yet. Then we considered SQL Mesh with BigQuery, which may actually be something that we need to do as well as this. But Cube is one of the things that we ended up on because it's a great way to be able to chart metrics or query metrics based on multiple dimensions. And for the things that we expect users to do a lot, you can actually set caching. Caching rules for the queries that it'll generate for that. So one of the big things that we've done here, and so this is actually where just sort of a tour of what we do actually have. So this is automatically deployed based on our main branch right now. All of the data models are based on these YAML files that you can actually also look at here. So what I've done is categorize all the tables that are in, although this is still missing some tables, but this is anything related to most of the useful things related to events. They're here right now. And that I wanted to try and get the basic things and see if I could replicate all of the DBT related metrics that we have and just use this. Obviously there's certain things that not obviously, but we've found certain things that we can't do. But yeah, this is basically the basics here. So what you do when you define a cube, you just enumerate like the columns that they have within dimensions. You can specify the joins, and then the measures that you would like. So these are the aggregations and on what columns. So the count, this one is just like a general, like, give me all the rows. And then this sum is on specifically the amount. And then the cool thing here is the pre-aggregations. So this kind of mirrors how, and we'll go to this playground in a second, like how this data looks. But essentially, like I would like to, what I'm saying about these pre-aggregations, or this pre-aggregation is like a cache for this specific type of query. So the thing that I'm querying is, okay, give me a sum of the amounts and then separate everything by these dimensions. And using this time dimension, and then do it every day. So that way I could, in theory, map everything against sum, and then split it by all these dimensions, and within that granularity, or one of these dimensions, and it will have all of that data cached. So we can take a look at the result of this here, at least for this month. So this data only includes up to the 13th of August. Because that is, we had to stop our pipeline for a little bit. So let's see. I don't want to filter on it, or I could, but let's just do by event type, and then by time, that's already in there, and then the sum. Let's remove this, and then I should be able to. Yeah, cool. So, fairly simple. Yeah. Oh, this is not a count. Okay. I was very confused by this very large number. Yeah. So then you can you can immediately see these things as a graph. If I wanted to say filter on this stuff, I could also say, okay, let's do does not contain contract. Yeah. And that. So now this will only be code related things, I think. Yeah. And it splits it out by day. You can see the charts. Let's see if we can do this other thing. We can pivot by here. Let's put this on the y-axis. There you go. Yeah. So this is the kinds of things that I hope that we're able to do with this tool. I think it's extremely powerful, especially if we have the right mix of pre-aggregations. That query, it's saying it took about 2 seconds. So, which,
how much
great.
of these queries are happening over ClickHouse versus internal?
So they do both. So they do a mix of both, and then when it's not pre-aggregated, it will hit ClickHouse. Yeah, and so we're able to. So you would do the pre-aggregation to make those things faster, but let's say we wanted to do something that isn't pre-aggregated. It might actually fail specifically on this. Let's see if we can do it, because we can do more than just time series by artifact. We can try going to project now. So let's do it by project name. And this is not pre-aggregated. So let's do it for 1 day just to see what that speed is like. And let's hope that this works. It might fail right now because the ClickHouse instance is not fully scaled up. So we may have to wait for just a second.
So concretely speaking, when we...
Oh, yeah. I'll have, give me, it'll, yeah. So basically the ClickHouse instances hasn't scaled yet. So it will scale in just a second. So we'll try again.
Okay. While we're waiting, concretely speaking, when we produce like say all the retrofunding 4 metrics project, would every single one of those be a separate pre-aggregation?
Um, potentially, yeah. So,
Like
the
you want
pre-aggregations are stored as Parquet files. So they're very, very well like compressed. Uh, yeah, and then they're stored basically. Yeah, on the back end they use their own. They're using their own like GCS or similar kind of instance or similar bucket of something. Yeah, to retrieve this data.
is our Cube instance running on GCP right now?
Yeah, so this cube instance is running on GCP. Hmm.
And um, yeah, so concretely, like eventually we're gonna want a page where we can click on a particular metric. Let's say we
Hmm.
choose some retro funding core metric, like something around trusted users, right?
Hmm.
Um, I guess two questions. One is like, how would I get a list of metrics that we've defined? And the second question
Ah,
is, when we when we actually need to get the data for that particular metric, are you yeah, do we need to pre-aggregate? That's why I'm asking is like, do we need to
yeah, yeah,
pre-aggregate
yeah.
all
Do
these?
we always need to? I think that for the things that we want to remain very performant, I would say yes, we should pre-aggregate those. On the other side of it, yeah, so I guess the intended workflow here is that Cube is like continuously updating things as data is getting, added into ClickHouse, right? And then, like basically acting as a really giant cache for us for these things. Oh wow. Still not scaling up, eh? Okay, hold on. And then, but in order to define those specific queries, what you would do, so you go into the data model here. Let me open up a different tab. Um, so there's things called models, right? And the models just define like the tables in general. They can also be a virtual table, like where you just make your own SQL query for a specific thing. Or like you can see here for artifacts, I actually have to extend like so a from artifact and a to artifact because you actually can't join on the same artifact. So if you look at the time series,
Mhm.
I have a from artifact to artifact, so you can like filter on those. But then you have this other thing called a view, which are basically like pre-made queries that we,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they would be views then, and a view
yeah.
could
So
like a view
yeah,
could be a pre-aggregate, but it could also not be a pre-aggregate. Is that what you mean?
yes, exactly. So if the dimensions that we're querying are not pre-aggregated, then it will attempt to use as much of the pre-aggregation until it runs out of pre-aggregated stuff, and then try it, and then do a minimal query. How well it does that, that is the part that I'm, trying to see. But it's also some of it's incumbent on the performance of our ClickHouse, and some of it's incumbent on the performance of Cube itself.
Okay, cool. I'm like trying to read the
Right.
docs right now to see if the React hook gives you the ability to enumerate views, I guess is what I want.
Yeah, in terms of enumerating, I don't know. I mean, it would be simple enough to parse these YAML files and generate something for us on our side, but yeah,
Yeah, sure.
I imagine in their GraphQL, there must be something in their GraphQL API. So, but
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
uh, come on, scale up. All right, hold on. Oh, that's right. I made a bookmark. Oh, there's too much. Oh.
Is it too early to move this to an open source Dash Observer namespace instead of Kariba.test and then
Oh, no, not too early at
it might
all. I can totally move it. Yeah, not a big deal. Yeah, I just quite literally like I opened that up because I was in the middle, or like I had just discovered it and then started testing on it here. So let's
no
see.
worries. Yeah, I mean that way we can start hooking it up to the Apollo router and subsequently yeah, expose in RPI and in parallel start hooking up to the front end and stuff like that. So cool.
seeing where you are. I don't know how quickly. It's still not. Huh. I don't know how to give it enough pressure to actually choose to scale up. Hmm. I'm not entirely sure.
Auto scaling doesn't work as well as we'd hope.
No, yeah. Apparently, like failing a couple times is not enough for it to feel the pressure to scale up. But yeah, I have seen things succeed, like bigger things succeed if I scale up. Yeah, this is also going to be some ClickHouse tweaking on our side. Like we just have to figure out how we're gonna like. I'm guessing there must be indices based on like or something around some way to deal with indexes that can make this a little bit more performant here. So for us. So, but I'm not yet entirely sure. But I do think that this specific abstraction, right, like giving us the ability to like it automatically generates all of these dimensions that we can pull from is really useful already. So, yeah. I wonder if I do by namespace, if that is faster. My query. Yeah. Yeah.
We can tweak this. And did you want to show us the Dagster SQL mesh
Oh
stuff
yeah,
too?
cool. Yeah. So let me actually start up my little local instance here. Uh, so yeah, one of the other things that we've been working on, just because it can handle some of these rolling windows that we were talking about that were failing on both Cube and actually on DBT as well, is getting a little bit of SQL Mesh because it has this really cool thing with being able to batch partitioning. So for incremental queries, it can run. It will run them at a specified like maximum time length. And that's really useful for our rolling windows because then what we can do is from today. So if you look at this PR really quick, which has an X, so I guess I'll figure out why that's broken. Okay. The SQL, where is it? It's daily to artifacts. So this is the one. So int time series code metrics by artifact __ developers. I just literally copied the name from what we had in DBT. But I was able to simplify this one significantly. Maybe you'll notice, Carl. But basically, the bucket day. So what we do is we just grab events from the last 30 days, and that's all we need to do. And then we can basically make summaries of like we can count all the full time and part time and all the active devs, and that's and it's an extremely fast thing. And then if you do it in a batch size of one, what it does is it'll just run, let's say that, for the last year, it'll just run the last 365 days. So it'll run the query 365 times as opposed to, exploding into a larger thing. So it can always, this way we can guarantee it's able to run in something like BigQuery.
And so if we add a new project, will it backfill?
Yeah. Cool. It's actually smart enough to, if we add a new project, will it backfill? That is a great question. It is smart enough to know that there are column changes. So if you were to trick it and tell it that there's a new column, you could trick it into backfilling. In terms of data, you can backfill. We would just have to tell it to do that. So
okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is like a force backfill, but there is a way to it is possible. So
okay, yeah, I feel like increasingly we're just gonna need to be able to, have things that run and increment daily, weekly at whatever interval, and then probably just make it so that we can specify when backfills are needed, because
Yeah.
there are just gonna be these waves where we have a lot of products that are coming in and so on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't see any way around it.
Yeah, I also don't see any way around that as well. Yeah, it's that or index the universe, which maybe increasingly will be more important anyway. But yeah, so in order to this is why we had gone down the SQL mesh route, and then one of the things that I've done, so SQL mesh doesn't actually support Dagster, and I'd been making this sort of just at my leisure, but now it's part of our own internal repos. Let's see, where is it? Oh, no. Let's go to this namespace. So now we've open sourced this Dagster SQL Mesh adapter. So it's not yet fully ready, but it does have a basic working like SQL Mesh adapter or into Dagster. So you can actually materialize all of these, and it will materialize a local DuckDB using SQL Mesh. So we can actually, hit this bad boy and take a look. It took some work because, SQL Mesh is vastly different than than DBT in terms of how their project is run. But as you can see, everything just gets materialized. I mean, you just have to trust me that that's actually correct. But yeah,
Is the developer experience similar to the DBT adapter, where you do like an at, I think it's like an at DBT asset. In this case, it'd be an at SQL mesh
exactly.
asset.
Yeah. Let me show you. It's in the code. I tried to make it basically the same.
Cool.
This is it.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I try.
Are we ready to fully migrate to SQL Mesh now?
That would be cool. Probably not yet. But yeah. Let's start with a small test first, shall we?
But the idea is that we would start running SQL Mesh in BigQuery
upstream of events.
Like
everything downstream of events. Sorry, downstream of events is all SQL Mesh. Upstream is DBT.
Yeah, but in BigQuery. Yeah.
Yes, in BigQuery. Yeah, because and then send that to ClickHouse, and then Cube can take it from there. So
I see, and so there would be some additional time series models that we would have to copy into ClickHouse to help get you around the current limitation you're experiencing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Man, this is getting complicated.
I know. Yeah, I mean, if SQL Mesh could just get their metric stuff working, then maybe this would just all be fine. So basically, like at this point, we're waiting on one of two things: SQL Mesh to get their act together, which is probably not going to happen, in the time range we need, and or Cube to fix all these little bugs. And I think that'll actually be faster, probably, because that's their one focus. So yeah.
That makes sense. Cool. Well, we're pretty close to officially having close to every possible, tech solution.
When Spark?
Hey, we're not far from Spark. That's the thing. Oh my god. Yeah, actually, so part of the investigation I was doing last week into doing this was like, man, do I just need to run Spark? And that is definitely like a plan C, right? Like it is possible, but that is a bigger effort just because there's a lot more infrastructure to put up for it. But yeah.
Cool. Well, and good to see you again, Santiago. Carl mentioned that you were looking into some EAS stuff, which is super cool. please let us know if you have any questions. Like, yeah, we're excited to see if we can get that data.
Yeah, I'm planning on starting today. So if I have any questions, I'll ask you in the Discord.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, and where things on the docs, like specifically, like I would challenge you to try to look through the docs and then see where things are missing, like and help us make that a little bit better if that's possible, you know, because we would love it so that those docs are really the canonical place to go for getting everything done here. So.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah, sure.
Said differently, feel free to submit pull requests against the docs as well. 'Cause,
Oh
you
yes.
know, they can.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll take note, and if I see anything that I don't understand, I'll let you know.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Cool. Thanks,
Have a
guys.
good week.
See you. Thanks.